Hi everyone, welcome back. I thought today I would talk about coming of age stories since they're my favorite kind of stories, just so we can continue to get to know each other. For me, a good coming of age story means that the main character kind of comes to this place of significant emotional honesty. And that's why I love teenage protagonists. They're learning about love and loss and grief and all of these intense things for the first time. A lot of them are developing their own opinions about the world around them. They're adopting new identities. So an interesting thing happened to me when I was preparing for this video. I realized that all of my favorite coming of age stories are not on my shelves. I've actually lent them all, so well done me, or I got them at the library and I need to buy a physical copy because this is just ridiculous. So the first book I want to talk about is The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Guys, I love this book. I talked about it in my last video, I think. It's by Stephen Chbosky, and I am eternally grateful to him because this is the book that got me into reading. I can remember sitting in my, I think, sophomore English class, and a friend passed it to me, and it had kind of passed around our little friend group, and you know, there were comments on the inside cover of the book, and it was just, it's just so special to me for so many reasons. So you probably already know the premise of this one, but it's about a boy named Charlie who is going into his freshman year of high school, and he's a wallflower. I think on the back cover it says that he's caught between trying to live his life and run from it. Gosh, and it's just so good. The other reason I love it, before we kind of dive into the plot, because I'm gushing here, is that it was actually published, I think, in 1999, which is just crazy. Like, it's still so relevant, and I mean, I just feel like so many kids these days really identify with it still, and that's just amazing. So basically the story is about this socially awkward kid who's a bit of an internal processor, and he sort of falls into a very particular kind of crowd. So Charlie kind of experiences real friendship and love and identity, family transition, just so much in such a short amount of time. And the book talks about really hard issues, tackles depression, anxiety, a few other things that I don't want to mention because I don't want to spoil the book. And as much as it's about sort of coming to this place of genuine acceptance by your peers, your friends, your family, and just kind of really being known, it also deals a lot with self-acceptance and sort of self-exploration. Apart from the fact that Charlie's stumbling through all these really difficult things in such a relatable way, I feel like my favorite thing about this book is the way that it's written. It's written in a series of letters. So we really kind of get to peel away the layers of Charlie and see what's really going on with him. And it's written in first person, and he's a bit of an unreliable narrator, which I love. They're just so real and damaged and flawed. So yeah, I could go on and on about this book, but I don't want to spoil anything, and we have other books to get to. So the next book I want to talk about is really, really different from The Perks of Being a Wallflower, and that is The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. It's a super complex story because Death is the narrator. The timelines are all kind of jumbled, which you either love or you hate. The story takes place during World War II in Germany, and we follow the main character, Liesel, who is a foster girl living with a foster family just outside of Munich, who, you know, falls in love with reading. Her foster father is probably one of the most well-drawn parents I've ever read about. He teaches her how to read. She actually ends up using her passion for reading during the air raids where she reads to her neighbors. So we follow a few relationships throughout the story. Two of my favorites are, one is her neighbor friend, Rudy, who's a little bit of a dreamer and a runner, and there's some really great scenes with him. And then also, my favorite relationship is her relationship with a very unique man named Max, who's a Jewish man fleeing from Nazi persecutors, and he ends up actually hiding out in her basement. But I think one interesting part of her coming of age story is just how her relationship with words changes. She kind of realizes that words can be used for evil when she learns about Hitler and how he manipulates with words to just encourage these horrific acts of violence. But she also uses words to be an advocate for change, to tell her own story. She obviously steals a few books, thus the name The Book Thief. I mean, it's called The Book Thief. Spoiler alert. The next book I want to talk about is Speak by Laurie Anderson, and oh my goodness, I ironically don't know if I have the words for this. This is one of the most important, well-crafted young adult books I know of. This is another book published in 1999. This is a tough but tender and darkly funny book. This is about a young girl named Mel who is entering high school, and all we know right off the bat is that she's a little bit of an outcast, and that she apparently called the cops on some party. So she's totally friendless, and the book just kind of jumps into this big secret. This book deals with so many hard things. It's about secrets, it's about trauma, it's about rape, loneliness and depression and friendship, but mostly it's about being heard. I was completely enamored with Mel's voice throughout the whole thing. It is a dark and heavy book, but the way she talks is really funny and lighthearted, surprisingly. She's just so snarky, and I love it. I also think Laurie Anderson is the master of showing versus telling. As an editor, that's something that I really value in my reading. And there's this one scene where she's sitting in the car with her mom at like a red light. I actually wrote it down. So instead of writing, "My mom is exhausted from working all the time," she writes, "We stop at a traffic light. Mom closes her eyes. Her skin is flat, gray color, like underwear washed so many times it's about to fall apart. I feel bad that I didn't fold more shirts for her." What is showing and not telling the reader what she's feeling about her mom? And also, instead of writing, "I was so haunted by this crazy secret that I actually felt sick," she writes, "There is a beast in my gut. I can hear it scraping away at the inside of my ribs. Even if I dump the memory, it will stay with me, staining me." That is so good. Isn't that so good? Anyway, like I said, it's about speaking up, it's about being heard, and it's just so good. The fourth coming of age story that I want to talk about is a classic, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret by Judy Blume. I don't know one person who read this book and didn't love it. It's just one of those that sticks with you. It's very realistic for that time in a young girl's life. So this is a book about a girl named Margaret who grew up with no religious affiliation. Her mother is Christian and her father is Jewish, and she's just kind of exploring religion. She just tackles so many common preteen issues, and she's just so endearing because of it. I mean, we get to see her sort of talk about buying her first bra and her period and friendships and boys, all of these really important transitions in life that are really skipped over. And then throughout the book she continues to kind of thread this this identity crisis with her spirituality. It's just something that I think so many kids can relate to and so many adults can look back on and feel nostalgic. The next book I want to talk about is a more recent book, Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. It's no secret that I love this book. This is it's my favorite one of all of hers that I've read so far. This book is perfection in my mind. So this book is set in the 80s, and it's about this girl named Eleanor, this big girl named Eleanor with fiery red hair, and she wears all the wrong clothes, and she meets this boy on a bus, a school bus I think, this half Korean boy named Park in Omaha, and it's full of just love and loss and hard family things and mixed tapes and comic books and just so many beautiful, funny, wonderful, heart-wrenching things. I don't know any author who can capture the endearing awkwardness of some teenagers feel. While it's really sweet and cute, it's also just profoundly intense. There's a scene where they are holding hands on a bus, and it is intense. Like, you actually get butterflies reading it. It kind of just transports you into that world again of like experiencing love for the first time. Just so much more than that star-crossed 16-year-old love story. This book also copes with some really hard issues, including body image and social status and really hard family stuff. I don't really want to get into because I might spoil it. So yeah, I just love this book, and I love all of these books. So as you can see, My dog wanted to be in this shot. This is Zoe. So those were my top 5 favorite coming of age stories. As you can see, my dog is ready for a walk. She literally jumped in this chair with me, so probably gonna go have to do that. But thank you so much for watching. I'd love to know your favorite coming of age stories, or if you've read any of the ones I've mentioned, and we can gush and flail together. Anyway, have a great day, and hopefully you will come back and join us. Say goodbye, Zoe. Say goodbye.